gonna blast through the rest of the stuff here that I got from the Zagray summer show, and then we're gonna do some stuff from the used tool store because about a week after the show, I went to the used tool store and I picked some stuff. And there's not a lot left here in the Zagray stuff, so it's not quite enough for a full episode. So, for starters, I got this little screwdriver set. I actually got one of these, I think, in the spring show. And I went back and found another, this is a different vendor, had the same set. I liked the set so much that I decided to get another one and give it to my son, who came with me that day, and he was my porter. He helped me shuttle some stuff back to the car, and he's going to use this on his RCs and everything, and I just wanted to show you guys. This is a Husky number 128518, which means it was probably bought at Home Depot. And this is actually a nice little set. It's got a lot of little small sizes of Torx drivers, Allen heads. There's even a adapter here if you want to drive. No, I'm sorry, it's not an adapter for sockets, is it? I don't think so, no. Well, anyways, really small Phillips head and regular screwdriver sizes. And it's got an extension, and it's actually got a pretty decent little, it's kind of cheesy, but it actually, ergonomically, it's kind of a nice fit. And it's even got the, like the Weeha style little quick spinner on the back here, so you can do this without rubbing your hand raw. So, anywho, there's that. I don't normally buy sockets unless I have my socket, a list of sockets I'm hunting for, but I couldn't pass this up. This is a Craftsman. This is a 2 1/8 inch socket. So this is now, I think, the largest socket that I own. It's 3/4 inch drive. I do have a 3/4 inch drive socket set that I had to buy for when I was working on my backhoe. And what I ended up getting was, because a name brand 3/4 inch drive socket set is so expensive, I ended up actually going to Harbor Freight and buying a Pittsburgh tool set, and it's actually a pretty decent set. I think it was like normally $40 for the set, and I think with the coupon I get like a 20% off coupon, so you can, when I ended up getting the thing for like a little over $30, which is a hell of a deal. And I ended up using it. Like the first time I used it, I put a helper pipe on the breaker bar and broke the breaker bar. I went back to the store, and the manager just gave me a brand new one, no questions asked, and he actually upgraded me to a better breaker bar. Doesn't fit in the case exactly right, but I didn't care because it was just a little bit better. But, cheap Chinese tool, and they still warranted it, no questions asked. So gotta tell you, there's a lot of people who hate Harbor Freight, a lot of people who love them, but on that day I loved them. So anyways, I'll put that in my socket collection. I don't know if I'm ever going to come across anything that's going to need a socket that big. Maybe somewhere on the backhoe there's a nut that big. I don't think so. These are all gauges. So typically they look like this, green being the go side and red being the no-go side. This clearly says no-go, and then this says go. And this says 0.438 on this side, and it says 0.453 on this side. So these are Meyer gauges. So what I don't get is, I thought these were thread gauges, but the funny thing is, there are no threads in this. This one this is a different brand. This is a Swanson. Hey, like a Ron Swanson. My favorite character from Parks and Recreation. This is a CLX no-go 0.6110, go 0.6106. So on this brand, they put it on the body. This one's an interesting one because it's a Meyer gauge, but it's 0.890 no-go on this side, and then this side's not even labeled. So what's the deal there? All right, so I don't think I have a use for those at all. Hopefully I can sell them for something. I bet you they were pretty expensive when they were new. Oh, well, I feel kind of silly. I just did a little bit of research online, and I guess what these are holders for gauge pins. So the idea is, of course, if you have a gauge pin set, you would put the specific size gauge pin that you needed to use, one in each end, and then I guess you would mark them accordingly. So I guess you could buy them, maybe like in this case here where they're pre-marked, that this would have come with a 453 thousandths gauge pin in this end and a 438 already preloaded in here. I guess if you had a full set, you could probably go and just put those two pins back in here. So I don't really know if these have really much value at all. I even saw another picture that showed the wooden case with the gauge pins in it, like I have. But that particular one that I saw a picture of actually had a space for the handle sitting in there, so you would be able to have the handle in there with the pins. So I don't know. I just looked. I do not have a large gauge pin set. My largest gauge pin is smaller than this smallest handle that I have will accommodate. Even though this one's not marked at all, so I guess whatever, because it kind of acts like a Kaulitz, so there's probably a range of pins that could go in this end here. Just show you what this looks like. It's got a little cone-shaped piece that acts kind of like a collet, so that it can clamp down on probably more than one size of pin. Got a little bit of a range there. That's what I'm saying. All right, so that's these. Well, I'll probably try and sell these and see what the heck happens. These are the only 3 precision measuring instruments that I obtained at the Zagray Summer Show. And this actually was a very nice Starrett number C359 bevel protractor. This is all that I got. Originally this would have come in a box with a blade, and sometimes even more than one blade. And this C designates that this is the satin chrome finish, which I can see. This is ill. It's got a problem. This little centerpiece has come out, and I've had this happen on another one of these, and I ended up selling it just as is, I think. But I'm very curious about how that's supposed to be retained in there. So I think I might try and disassemble this, maybe do a video on it in the future, as far as taking this apart, just showing how to take one of these apart, maybe clean it and repair this kind of a situation if it's possible, and put it back together. And then I also got these 2 micrometers, which normally I wouldn't really give anything for these. The micrometers, no cases, kind of beat up, but they are Starrett's, and I knew that he wasn't gonna make me pay much more for this whole lot by adding these in. So this one here is a this is a number 230. It's got the ratchet stop, and this is a pretty plain Jane micrometer. Doesn't have carbide faces. It's a little squeaky, got a little bit of surface rust here and there, but other than this lock not working, it actually seems like a pretty serviceable micrometer. So a cheap micrometer for somebody. This one is also a Model 230, but this is a 230 of a little bit different color. This, instead of having the thimble, this has is the friction style thimble. Okay, and the problem with this one is it's locked up tight. It doesn't want to move at all, which is unfortunate because this is also a tenths micrometer. It has the additional vernier scale here, so you can read tenths of a thousandth with this one. And this is almost appears to be like the satin chrome finish. You can see on this side here we got some pretty bad rust that was probably in contact with some paper or something that held moisture up against it and caused that. So if somebody wanted to, it doesn't matter whether or not this is in the locked position or unlocked position, this will not turn. So that's really, I can actually see under magnification the junction here where this comes through. I can see what looks like maybe corrosion. So if somebody wanted to spend the time taking this apart, I made a failed attempt at doing that to a previous micrometer, and I basically got it all freed up, put it back together, but then for the life of me I couldn't get it to stop from locking up. I think I was messing up something to do with this locking mechanism on that one. But I don't want to make another failed attempt at micrometer repair, so I'll just sell that as is. And the final item that I got out of this Zagray Farm haul was this big countersink. It's massive. So this thing is marked 3-82-Ford FORD-79, and I did a little bit of research already on this and was able to find out this manufacturer makes all types of tooling, and I'm sorry, this is a 3-inch is the max diameter on this thing. So in their catalog online, they show that they have multi-flute ones of these. They have one they call, I think, called the uni-flute. It's got like one flute. And then this one has 6 flutes. So this one I couldn't find in the catalog, but they will custom make apparently if you have a specific application. So the thing to know about this is that this sucker is solid carbide. And I went online and was able to find a few of these smaller versions of these, like 2-inch versions or 2¼ inch versions, for sale on eBay. And these are actually quite expensive. New, the 2¼ inch new is several $100s. And so I can imagine what this one cost to have produced when it was brand new. Now, it's got a little bit of damage to one of the lips right there. It's got some wear on it. It still seems like it's pretty serviceable. So I'm going to keep this, and my thinking is what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this probably with my lathe. And what I'll do is I'll just throw this thing in the tailstock whenever I need to, if I want to deburr a bore, like if I bore a large diameter and I want to just deburr the ends, I'll just slap this thing in a chuck in the tailstock and run it right up against there and just let it do its cutting. And because the probably minimum practical diameter of this thing is about 1 inch, I can use this one tool to pretty much do that operation on any bores or holes from 1 to 3 inches. So I'm really pleased that I scored that, and I don't think that he probably valued that very much when all was said and done, because, well, as we already talked about in part 1, I gave $70 for the whole lot. I figured 20 of that was for that Craftsman impact sockets that I showed in episode 1. So, and then I had all of those brand new drill bits, all those solid carbide end mills. You know, you take that all out of the equation and basically it's practically got this for nothing. All right, so now let's move on to some used tool store scores. The only thing I found at the tool store this particular week that I went caught my eye was he had these 3 Weehaw screwdrivers. And up until just recently, I wasn't even aware that Weehaw made these type of screwdrivers, these larger, you know, mechanic style screwdrivers. Like many of you guys out there, you probably already know and love this style of Weehaw precision screwdriver. This happens to be the long shank version, and it's got the little spinning part on the top there. And these are just really, really nice screwdrivers. I mean, these make those little jeweler's screwdriver sets that they sell in little plastic blue cases with the clear plastic covers, which I have some of those too. I mean, these put those to shame. These are just great. So I guess I shouldn't have been surprised when I found out that they make a really nice regular type of screwdriver too, for lack of a better term. So what ended up happening was, you know, over the summer, actually I think I was already back in the spring, you know, I got those Kennedy toolbox hoards, and in one of those Kennedy toolboxes there was a lot of hand tools. And I've got so many hand tools now that initially I wasn't excited about it, but I noticed that everything that was in there was top quality. There was a lot of Exolite, all name brand good stuff. And I scored these screwdrivers, and when I first saw them I didn't know what they were, and then I realized, oh, these are Weehaw screwdrivers. And what these are these what they call the Weehaw micro finish screwdrivers, and apparently these are the 533 series. And I just, as soon as I laid my hands on them, I immediately thought, wow, these are really nice. And then I read online about how these are this shank goes right through the handle, so you can actually see somebody's been beating on this. All right, so these are actually screwdrivers that are made to take some serious abuse. So when I spotted these and I saw that, you know, he had $5 a piece on the larger ones and $3 on the smaller one, Phillips said, I immediately scooped these, not even thinking about whether or not I already had duplicates, because there was no way I was going to go from memory and figure out what the heck I had here. So for those of you who don't know about Weehaw screwdrivers, these are made in Germany. All right, so looks like I've got 4 sizes of regular screwdrivers and 2 sizes of Phillips head. That's a pretty nice little set right there. And then these will just be spares. I don't know if I should bother trying to resell these or not. I mean, I'm sure I could probably find people who would enjoy these as much as I do. And then the only other thing I scored at the tool store that day was there was a couple of little boxes, cardboard boxes there he had with a bunch of Kaulitz, unusual little Kaulitz in them. And so I noticed that he was asking $1 a piece for them, and I decided I wanted to grab a few of these and take a chance on them. So I got these little Kaulitz, these weird little Kaulitz, and then I noticed the 2 boxes there were quite a few Kaulitz in there, and they weren't all the same. And then I noticed that there were only 2 of these, which almost seemed like Kaulitz adapters or closers. So what I noticed was that certain ones of these Kaulitz fit these little closers perfectly. So the idea would be that if you had a collet nut to go on the back side of this, as you would tighten that, or if this is for a really small lathe, I don't know, then that would draw it in. So I don't know what the deal is with these, but they're funky for sure. And they don't all fit these closers. So I got two closers that appear identical. Only one's missing the little nut on the back here, and this one's got the nut. Or locking ring, to be more precise, I guess would be a better way to describe it. Which, it's got these little holes in it, so it almost looks like it's designed to be used, to be tightened by a, almost like a large, I happen to have some here, like a large micrometer wrench. Actually, that's close to the radius, but not quite. So I grabbed a couple of different styles here so we could get a better look at them together. And maybe you guys might know what the hell this is. So let's start with the first obvious, well, maybe not so obvious until just now, thing about these Kaulitz is they're tiny. This is a standard R8 Kaulitz for my mill. So you can see the size of this compared to these little suckers. So I got a couple of them of this style. There's quite a few of these. They got a kind of a weird shaped head to them, right? Whereas the face comes to a cone shape. They have a little tiny channel in them, almost like the way the R8 Kaulitz do, so that they can be keyed into the slot. They are threaded on the back side. They are threaded, well, this is interesting now. This one is threaded inside threads and outside threads, almost as if so it could go in a small mill or drill or something and have a drawbar, or have a Kaulitz closer, go on the back of it. This one is only threaded on the outside, no threads on the inside. This one is just a little bit different than these two. Dimensionally from the back, they look almost identical. So this would probably fit whatever this fits. This, on the other hand, is a horse of a different color. This has got this very unusual little change in diameter here. So I don't know what the story is with this sucker. This one's marked 125 on the face, so I'm going to assume that's 125 thousandths, which is 1/8 of an inch. This was the only hard inch of the group. Okay, so this is yet even another size. This one's quite a bit shorter. Well, it's not much shorter than this one, but it's quite a bit shorter than this one. This one's got the little slot in it. This one's clearly marked hard inch. And it's 3/64 of an inch. So, pretty damn tiny. So one thought was maybe they belong to a jeweler's lathe. Another thought was maybe they don't belong to a lathe or a mill at all, and maybe they belong to some sort of a precision drill or, something else. I don't know. So if you guys have an opinion on these, please leave a comment below.